Remember when going to the dentist was like, well, like a trip back to the dark ages?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing how much things have changed. I mean, dental work, it's getting so much more precise and a lot less like, well, invasive, I guess.
Right.
It's pretty cool how it's all evolved.
It is.
And that got us kind of curious about this whole world of dental composites, those materials they use now.
Yeah.
So we've been digging into this new report. It's like a really deep dive into the whole global market for dental composites.
Absolutely.
And just so everyone listening is on the same page, we're talking about those tooth-colored materials that dentists use for like fillings and crowns and even some bridges.
Yeah, they're everywhere in dentistry now. I mean, you can't really practice modern dentistry without them.
For sure.
They're essential.
So basically, in this deep dive, we're trying to like pull out all the most important stuff from the report. The really key insights and the big trends that are shaping this whole market.
Right.
It's like we're doing the hard work of reading through the whole thing so you don't have to...
Yeah, we're giving you the condensed version.
Exact.
All I need to know.
Yeah, and one number that really popped out at me was the report's projecting that the global market for dental composites is going to reach like 62.5 million USD in 2025.
Huge market.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But what's even more interesting is the projected growth. That 62.5 million, that's just the starting point.
Oh, wow.
By 2033, it's expected to balloon to 97.1 million USD.
Seriously.
That's massive growth.
That's a big jump.
And that translates to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 6.50% over that whole period.
So it's not just a one-time spike, it's like sustained growth.
Yeah, it's definitely a market with some serious momentum behind it.
Okay, so for context, all these projections, they're using 2024 as like the base year.
Right.
And the forecast runs all the way to 2033.
Makes sense.
We also got a glimpse of how the market share is split up geographically in 2025.
Interesting.
So North America is currently in the lead with over 40%.
Wow, they're dominating.
Yeah, big time. And then Europe's right behind them with over 30%.
Okay.
And then Asia Pacific comes in at around 23%. Latin America's a bit over 5%. And then the Middle East and Africa are around 2%.
I see.
And one more interesting tidbit is that within all the different types of composite materials, flowable components are kind of the kings of the hill right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, we can dig into the reasons for that a little later.
Sure.
But you can already see this market's pretty big, and it has the potential to get even bigger.
Absolutely. It's an exciting area to watch.
Okay, so let's get into what's actually fueling this growth.
Okay.
The report points to a bunch of key factors.
Yeah.
So first off, there's the constant improvement in the technology behind dental composite materials.
Right.
I mean, makes sense, right? Dentists need stuff that actually works.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the big thing for patients is that these materials are looking better and better, like aesthetically.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. I mean, everyone wants a natural-looking smile these days.
Totally. And if we zoom out a bit, we're also seeing more dental problems popping up worldwide.
True.
And at the same time, people are becoming a lot more aware of how important oral health is.
Right.
So naturally, that leads to more people needing dental work, fillings and all that.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about fixing cavities anymore. There's this whole rise in people wanting aesthetic dental procedures and like cosmetic dentistry.
Oh, yeah, that's a big trend.
Yeah, things like veneers and composite bonding, those procedures that are all about making your teeth look even better.
Exactly. And dental composite, they're playing a bigger and bigger role in those kinds of treatments.
Right. So it's about function and beauty.
It's both. For sure.
Okay, so we've got all this stuff pushing the market forward, but there are always challenges.
Yeah.
The report mentions a couple of things that could kind of put the brakes on growth.
Uh-huh.
One is the whole issue of making sure that dental composites play nice with other materials that get used in dental work.
Oh, right, compatibility issues.
Yeah, because if they don't work well together, you can end up with problems.
Yeah, that's a recipe for clinical failures.
Exactly. You don't want the materials that are supposed to fix a tooth to end up causing more trouble.
Right, it defeats the purpose.
And then there's the whole regulatory side of things.
Ah, yes, the red tape.
Yeah, it sounds like getting new dental materials approved and out into the market involves jumping through a lot of hoops.
Yeah, those regulations, they can be pretty strict.
Which makes sense, you want to make sure everything's safe and effective.
Of course, safety first.
But it can slow things down.
It can definitely be a hurdle for companies trying to get their innovations out there.
Okay, so we've got the good stuff pushing the market forward and some potential roadblocks. Now, what about trends? The things that are likely to shape the future of dental composites.
Well, one interesting one is that there's an increasing demand for tooth-colored composites in orthodontics.
Oh, so even when people are getting braces?
Yeah, even then there's this desire for a more aesthetically pleasing look.
So instead of those like clunky metal braces,
Right, exactly.
people are going for clear aligners and tooth-colored options.
Yeah, it naturally leads to a need for composite materials that match those appliances.
It's like a whole coordinated look.
Exactly. It's all about blending in.
Makes total sense. And it's not just patients pushing for this. We're also seeing governments in different parts of the world trying to make dental care more accessible.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're launching initiatives to promote dental health care services.
That's great.
And that can lead to more people getting dental treatment, which obviously increases the need for restorative materials like composites.
Yeah, it all ties together.
So it sounds like the market's getting a boost from better materials, more awareness about oral health, a big focus on aesthetics, and even some helpful government policies.
It's a pretty good mix of factors.
But the report also suggests that this is a pretty competitive landscape.
Oh yeah, it's a crowded market.
So the report describes the dental composite material market as highly competitive and also quite fragmented, which basically means there are a ton of different companies vying for a piece of the pie.
Right, and a lot of the big players, they're putting a lot of resources into R&D, research and development.
It makes sense. They want to be the one coming up with the next big thing.
Exactly. It's all about innovation.
But it sounds like companies are also looking beyond just developing new products to boost their market share.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So they're doing things like forming partnerships, collaborating with other companies, and even merging with or acquiring other businesses.
It's all about strategic maneuvering.
Yeah, they're trying to get a leg up and offer a wider range of products.
Right. They want to be a one-stop shop for dentists.
Okay, so that's the business side of things. But what I'm really curious about is the actual products that are being released, the new stuff that's hitting the market.
Oh yeah, the cool new toys.
Exactly. And the report gives us a few recent examples that really highlight how much innovation is happening.
So let's hear about them.
Okay, so first up, there's this product called Clearfill Manistee ES Flow Universal.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it was launched in May of this year, 2024, by Kurai Noritake Dental.
They're a big player.
Yeah, and this Clearfill Majesty, it's a flowable composite, but it has a high viscosity.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the idea is to combine the easy flowability that you need for detailed work with the strength and durability that you want for a restoration that's going to last.
So it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and they're really emphasizing both its physical properties, like how strong it is and how well it holds up over time,
Right.
and its aesthetics, how natural it looks.
So it performs well and looks great.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sweet spot.
That's what everyone wants.
What other cool products have come out lately?
Well, there's SimpliShade Bulk Fill and SimpliShade Bulk Fill Flow.
Okay, those sound pretty straightforward.
Yeah, those were launched in October of 2023 by Kerr Dental.
Another big name.
Yeah, for sure.
And it sounds like these products are all about making the dentist's job easier.
Right. It's about simplifying things.
So they offer more flexibility and they streamline procedures.
Exactly.
And they use something called ternary adaptive response technology, or RT3.
Catchy name.
Yeah, the report doesn't go into all the details about how it works, but basically this RT3 technology is supposed to make the composite material more intelligent and adaptable.
So it's like a smart composite.
Yeah, in a way.
And for dentists.
I mean, having a material that's flexible and easy to use, that's a huge plus.
Oh yeah, it makes their lives so much easier.
Right, especially when they're doing these procedures day in and day out.
They need all the help they can get.
And there was also this product called Viscalar Bulk that came out in February of 2021.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it's from Voco GmbH.
Another major player.
Yeah, and this Viscalar Bulk, it's what they call a thermoviscous bulk fill composite.
Okay, and what's special about that?
Well, the cool thing is it has this two-in-one technology.
One, huh?
Yeah, so when the dentist first puts it in the tooth, it has a lower viscosity, kind of like a flowable composite, so it can get into all those tiny nooks and crannies.
Makes sense.
But then, as it warms up to body temperature, the viscosity increases, so it becomes more like a traditional composite that can be packed and sculpted.
Oh wow, so it changes consistency.
Yeah, it's like it adapts to the situation.
That's really clever.
Right, you get the flowability for good adaptation, and then the packability for shaping.
So you get the benefits of both?
Yeah, it's a really neat approach, and it shows how these materials are becoming more and more sophisticated.
It's like they're getting smarter.
Okay, so the report also breaks down the market by different segments.
Yeah, let's dig into those.
So let's start with the physical state of a composites. We've got liquid and powdered forms.
Right, the two basic types.
Which one's the big dog right now?
Well, according to the report, liquid dental resin composite is projected to dominate throughout the whole forecast period.
Oh, wow, so liquid's king.
Yeah, it looks like it, and there are a few reasons for that. One is its versatility can be used for a lot of different things, and it's really easy to handle, which dentists love.
Right, makes their job easier.
Plus, it offers a lot of precision when it comes to filling cavities and other defects.
Okay.
And on top of that, there have been a ton of advancements in resin technology.
Oh, yeah.
So these liquid composites are more durable, and they look better than ever.
So they're tougher and prettier.
Exactly, and that makes them a really popular choice for direct restorations, especially for those front teeth that everyone sees.
Right.
And the whole trend towards aesthetic dental work and minimally invasive procedures that's also fueling the growth of this segment.
So it's like a perfect storm for liquid composites.
Yeah, they're hitting all the right notes.
Okay, so we talk about liquid being the dominant form, but you mentioned that powdered dental resin composite is expected to be the fastest growing segment.
That's right, it's catching up fast.
What's driving that rapid growth?
Well, it's mostly because powdered components are being used more and more to create custom dental prosthetics.
Oh, so things like crowns and bridges.
Yeah, exactly.
And why is that?
Well, when you're making something like a crown or a bridge, strength and resistance to wear and tear, those are super important.
Right, those things need to last.
And powdered composites, they're really good at that.
Okay.
Plus, there have been these huge advancements in willing and 3D printing technologies in dentistry.
Oh, yeah, those technologies are changing everything.
And they're making it possible to create these really precise and long-lasting restorations using powdered composites.
So it's like a combination of the material itself being good for these applications
Right.
and the technology making it easier to work with.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
Okay, so it sounds like liquid composites are the go-to for those in-the-mouth restorations, the direct stuff.
Yeah,
And powdered components are opening up more possibilities for complex and customized solutions that are made outside the mouth.
that's a good way to put it.
Okay, now let's talk about the different types of composites themselves.
Okay, let's dive in.
We've heard earlier that flowable composite is kind of the top dog right now.
Yeah, it's holding the biggest share of the market.
What makes it so popular?
Well, it's all in the name flowable composites. They flow really well.
Okay,
Compared to those traditional packable composites, they have a much lower viscosity.
I see.
So they can easily get into those tiny little spaces in teeth, like small cavities and fissures.
Uh-huh.
And they're really versatile. Dentists use them for all sorts of things.
Really?
Yeah, from sealing those little grooves on the chewing surfaces of teeth, to small fillings, to even repairing minor damage on existing restorations.
Oh, wow, so they're like the Swiss Army knife of dental composites.
Yeah, kinda.
And the report mentions a few reasons why they're so popular. One is that there are just more cavities out there these days.
Right, people are eating more sugary stuff.
And there are also more women dentists now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and apparently women dentists tend to prefer flowable composites.
Huh, I wonder why that is.
I don't know, the report doesn't say, but it's an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, it is.
And then there's the growth of those big corporate dental chains,
Uh-huh.
and it seems like they're also big fans of flowable composites.
Makes sense. They're all about efficiency.
So yeah, flowable composites, they're definitely having their moments in the sun.
Yeah, they're the stars of the show right now.
Okay, what about nanofilled composite? The report says this segment's growing really fast.
Oh, yeah. Nanofilled composites. They're the new kids on the block.
What's so special about them?
Well, they're like the next generation of dental composites.
Okay.
So the key here is that they have these super tiny nanoparticles mixed into the composite resin.
Nanoparticles, so we're talking really small.
Yeah, like incredibly small.
Okay.
And the cool thing is that this creates a really amazing combination of strength, durability, and aesthetics.
So they're tough, they last a long time, and they look great.
Exactly. They're kind of like the superheroes of dental composites.
And how do those nanoparticles make them so much better?
Well, they're like little building blocks that make the material super strong,
Uh-huh.
so they can handle all that chewing force without breaking down.
Okay.
And because they're so tiny, they create a really smooth surface.
Oh, I see.
So you can polish them to a really high shine.
So they end up looking really natural.
Yeah, exactly.
And compared to those older composites, the nanofilled ones, they last longer and they resist wear and tear better.
Right, they're like the long-distance runners of the composite world.
And that's why they're becoming so popular for both front and back teeth.
Yeah, dentists are loving them.
So it's cutting-edge technology delivering better results.
That's the name of the game.
Okay, now let's shift gears and talk about the type of filling procedure.
Okay.
We've got direct and indirect fillings.
Right, the two main approaches.
Which one's the most common right now?
Well, the report says that direct filling procedures, they're still the majority.
Okay.
And that makes sense because they're usually quicker and easier for both the dentist and the patient.
Right, less hassle.
Yeah, so with direct fillings, the dentist puts the composite material directly into the prepared tooth cavity,
Uh-huh.
and they do all the shaping and sculpting right there in the mouth.
All in one go.
Yeah, one appointment and you're done.
And why are they so popular?
Well, one reason is that they're really good for minimally invasive procedures.
Okay.
And we've also seen all these improvements in the composite materials themselves.
Right, they're getting better all the time.
So they're more resistant to wear and tear, and they look more natural.
So better results overall.
Yeah, and that's a big driver for the continued popularity of direct fillings.
Okay, what about indirect fillings? Those are the ones that are growing fast.
Yeah, indirect fillings, they're becoming more and more common.
What's fueling that growth?
Well, indirect fillings like inlays and onlays, they're usually used when you need a more durable and longer-lasting repair.
Oh, so for bigger cavities or teeth that take a lot of chewing force.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and what's different about the procedure?
Well, unlike direct fillings, indirect fillings are made outside the mouth.
Oh, I
So
see.
the dentist takes an impression of the tooth and then sends it off to a lab.
Okay.
And the lab creates the inlay or onlay using something called CAD/CAM technology.
CAD/CAM, what's that all about?
It stands for computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing.
Oh, so it's all high tech.
Yeah, it's super precise.
Okay.
And that allows them to make a restoration that fits perfectly and is really strong.
So it's like a custom-made puzzle piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and what are the benefits of doing it this way?
Well, the big ones are the cosmetics and the durability.
So they look better and they last longer?
Yeah, indirect fillings, they tend to have a more natural look,
Mm-hmm.
and they're super resistant to wear and tear.
Makes sense, especially for those back teeth that do all the heavy lifting.
Right,
And that's why more and more dentists and patients are choosing indirect fillings.
especially for those more complex cases.
Okay, so direct fillings for speed and convenience,
Right.
and indirect fillings when you need something more heavy duty.
It depends on the situation.
Now, let's talk about the different way dental composites are being used, the actual applications.
Okay.
We already know that dental fillings, they're the big kahuna right now,
Yeah, they're the bread and butter of dentistry.
which makes sense given what we just talked about with direct fillings being the most common type.
Right.
But what's the fastest growing area?
That would be dental crowns.
Crowns, okay.
Yeah, they're seeing a huge surge in popularity.
Why is that?
Well, there's a growing need for both restorative work, fixing damaged teeth,
Mm-hmm.
and cosmetic dentistry.
Right, people wanting to improve the look of their teeth.
Exactly. And these new confident materials, especially those nano-filled and hybrid composite,
Yeah, we talked about those.
they're making crowns that are way stronger and more aesthetically pleasing.
So they're a good alternative to those traditional materials.
Yeah, in a lot of cases.
Plus, more and more people are cracking and fracturing their teeth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they need crowns to fix them.
Makes sense.
And there's also that whole trend towards wanting a perfect smile.
Right, the Hollywood smile.
Exactly. So crowns, they're riding that wave of popularity.
For sure.
Dental bridges, they're another application for composites, but they're not growing as fast as crowns.
Okay.
All right, so last but not least, let's talk about who's actually using all these dental composites, the end users.
Okay.
So no surprise here, dental clinics, they're the biggest users.
Yeah, that's where most dental treatments have there.
Makes sense, but which segment is growing the fastest?
That would be academic and research institutes.
Schools and labs.
Yeah, those places are using more and more composites.
Why is that?
Well, they're the ones training all the new dentists,
Right.
and they're also doing research into new materials and techniques.
So they're using composites to teach and to experiment,
Exactly.
and with emphasis on dental education growing worldwide.
Right, everyone wants a good dentist.
That's driving up the demand for composites in those academic settings.
Makes sense.
Hospitals, they're using composites too, but not as much as schools and labs. So it's cool to see that the educational and research side of dentistry is playing such a big role in this market.
Yeah, it shows that the industry is really investing in its future.
For sure. Okay, now let's zoom in on the regional picture. We know that North America is the big dog right now.
Yeah, they're in the lead.
What does the future hold for them?
Well, North America is starting out with a market size of 25.00 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
And they're projected to grow at a steady clip with a CAGR of 4.7% from 2025 to 2033.
So solid growth, but not explosive.
Yeah, that's about right.
And within North America, the United States is the biggest market.
No surprise there.
Yeah, they're estimated to be at 19.73 million USD in 2025 with a CAGR of 4.5%.
Okay.
And that growth's being driven by a few things. They've got a really strong dental sector.
Uh-huh. A lot of good dentists.
Yeah, and cosmetic dentistry is really popular there.
It's true.
Plus, people are all about those minimally invasive treatment options.
Less is more.
Yeah, Canada's projected to have a market size of 3.00 million USD with a slightly higher CAGR of 5.5%.
Okay, why is that?
Well, it could be things like dental tourism.
Oh, yeah, people going to Canada for dental work.
Yeah, and Canadians have more disposable income.
True.
Plus, they're becoming more aware of oral health.
Makes sense.
And Mexico, they're estimated at 2.28 million USD with a CAGR of 5.2%.
Okay, so steady growth across the board.
Yeah, and overall, the growth in North America, it's being driven by a bunch of factors.
Like what?
Well, for starters, there are the constant technological advancements in dental materials.
Always innovating.
Yeah, and then there's the fact that people are really focused on both oral health and aesthetics.
They want healthy and beautiful smiles.
Exactly, and North America's got a really well-developed dental healthcare infrastructure.
Right, they have good systems in place.
Yeah, plus they've got a lot of the major dental product manufacturers right there.
So they're kind of a hub for the industry.
Yeah, and their insurance policies are pretty favorable when it comes to dental procedures.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, and dentists are increasingly adopting those minimally invasive techniques.
Less pain, more gain.
Exactly. And North America, they kind of became a leader in all this because they were early adopters of those advanced dental
They
techniques.
were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and they put a lot of emphasis on dental education.
Makes sense.
Okay, so North America, they're a major player, but their growth is a bit slower than some other parts of the world.
Okay, what about Europe?
Yeah, they're holding the #2 spot globally.
Right, they're a big market.
So what's the outlook for them?
Well, Europe's got a market size of 18.75 million USD in 2025,
Okay.
and they're expected to grow at a CAGR of 5.0% from 2025 to 2033.
So pretty similar to North America.
Yeah, steady growth.
If we look at some of the key players in Europe, the United Kingdom's projected to have a market of 3.15 million USD with a CAGR of 5.8%.
Okay.
And their growth is being driven by a few things. More people are going to the dentist.
Uh-huh.
There's more awareness about dental health.
Right.
And they're expanding their healthcare infrastructure.
They're investing in the system.
Yeah, Germany, they've got a market size of 3.71 million USD and a KGR of 5.2%.
Not bad.
Yeah, and they benefit from having a lot of those big dental material manufacturers right there.
So they're got a powerhouse in that sense.
Yeah, plus they're constantly innovating.
Always pushing the boundaries.
And the German population, they're pretty savvy when it comes to oral health.
Yeah, they take good care of their teeth.
Then you've got France, Italy, Russia, and Spain.
Okay.
And they're projected to have CGRs ranging from 4.0% to 4.4%.
So a bit slower growth.
Yeah, but still expectable.
Definitely.
And then some of the smaller markets in Europe, like Luxembourg and Greece, they're expected to see even higher growth rates.
Interesting.
Yeah. So overall, Europe's got a pretty diverse growth trajectory.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
But there are a few things driving their overall growth.
Like what?
Well, they're really big on both aesthetic dentistry and preventative oral health care.
They want beautiful and healthy smiles.
Exactly. And they've got those well-established healthcare systems.
Right. Good access to care.
Yeah, and their governments are actively promoting dental health.
That makes a difference.
Plus, people in Europe, they want dental solutions that are going to last.
They're looking for long-term value.
Yeah, and their population's aging.
Right.
Which means they're going to need more restorative work.
Makes sense.
And there's a lot of collaboration going on between dental material manufacturers and universities and research institutions.
So they're working together to come up with new and better stuff.
Yeah, it's a good recipe for innovation.
It is.
Okay, so Europe looking pretty solid. Now let's head over to Asia Pacific. They've got a big market share, and their growth rate's way higher than North America and Europe.
Yeah, Asia Pacific's the one to watch.
What's fueling all that growth?
Well, they're starting out with a market size of 14.38 million USD in 2025,
Okay.
and they're projected to be the fastest growing region with a CAGR of 8.5% from 2025 to 2033.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's huge growth.
So what's going on over there?
Well, China's the biggest market in the region.
Makes sense. They've got a massive population.
Yeah, and they're estimated at 6.47 million USD with an 8.0% CAGR.
Okay.
And a few things are driving that growth. One is the increasing demand for cosmetic dentistry. Yeah, people want to look their best.
Yeah, and China's got a growing and increasingly reputable domestic dental industry.
So they don't have to rely on imports as much.
Right, and they're also adopting those minimally invasive dental techniques.
Keeping up with the times.
Yeah, India's expected to see even faster growth with a CAGR of 10.3% and a market size of 1.73 million USD.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah, and that's likely due to a few things. Their dental tourism sector is booming.
People going to India for dental work?
Yeah, it's more affordable there.
Right.
Plus, more people are becoming aware of the costs of dental care and the treatments that are available.
So they're more informed consumers.
Yeah, and India's middle class is growing rapidly, and they have more disposable income.
More money to spend on healthcare.
Exactly. Japan, South Korea, and Australia, they're also showing strong growth with CAGRs in the 7 to 8% range.
Solid numbers.
Yeah, and Southeast Asia is another hot spot. They're anticipated to have a CAGR of 9.5%.
So the whole region's on fire.
Pretty much. And what's driving all this growth?
Well, for one thing, more and more people are moving to cities.
Urbanization.
Exactly, and that means they have better access to dental care.
Right.
Plus, there's this growing awareness of how important oral hygiene is. Yeah, people are taking better care of their teeth.
Yeah, and that rising middle class, they have more money to spend on dental treatments.
Makes a difference.
Plus, governments are investing more in healthcare infrastructure.
Good news.
Yeah, and local and regional dental material manufacturers, they're adopting more advanced technologies.
So they're becoming more competitive.
Yeah, it's a really dynamic market.
For sure.
So that high growth rate in Asia Pacific, that's a key takeaway.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's take a look at South America. What's the situation there?
Well, South America, they have a market size of 3.13 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
And they're expected to grow at a CAGR of 5.9% from 2025 to 2033.
So decent growth.
Yeah, not bad.
Brazil's the biggest market in the region.
Uh-huh.
They're estimated at 1.4 million USD with a CAGR of 6.5%.
Okay.
And a few things are driving their growth. People are more knowledgeable about oral health.
Good sign.
Yeah, and their dental tourism industry is growing.
Oh, yeah, people going to Brazil for dental work.
Yeah, and Brazilians, they have more disposable income these days.
More money to spend on themselves?
Yeah, Argentina, they're projected to have a market size of 0.53 million USD and a CAGR of 6.8%.
So even faster growth.
Yeah, and that could be because more people are going to the dentist.
Makes sense.
They're more aware of dental health.
Right.
And the healthcare system is improving.
Good news.